I guess my biggest pet peeve, and I don't know your opinion on this one, is something called leadership development. Every company I worked for, they have a program called leadership development. In
Uh-huh.
my opinion, in my humble opinion, it's as useless as a program as it can be. The best leadership development that I got, it was in just my personal experience. I was working for a telephone company, small telephone company in Eastern Canada. The CEO comes, I was a young engineer. The CEO, I didn't know who was the CEO. There was no internet. I can't, I know the name, but I don't know what the individual looked like. So somebody comes in and kneeled beside me at my desk, and he see me working on my Visio diagram, building networks, whatever I'm doing. He introduced himself and he said, "So what are you doing here, sir?" And I was explaining like what I'm doing on my monitor. He said, "Uh huh." I said, I looked at him. I said, "Is he?" I'm thinking like, "Is he allowed to look at this? It's information maybe I shouldn't be looking at." I said, "So who are you?" He introduced himself. He said, "My name is so and so. I'm the CEO of the company." I said, "Wow, now I'm paying attention." I said, "Great.
Right.
So
Me too.
so nice to meet you, sir." He said, "Look, we've been keeping an eye on you for a while, and there's a place for you in this company, and our HR vice president of HR will be talking to you soon." And that's it. And I was promoted from there on. Like every few months, I was promoted. It was that moment that really defined me as an individual. I didn't work for that company for too long because I was stolen by another company to go work for them. So it was that moment that defined me as an employee, and I saw as a potential in that honor and trust that we talked about earlier. That individual today is like 90, in his 90s, 92 years old, I think. He's still around. I still send him like we still exchange messages and stuff. I'll never
Mm,
forget that individual. It is not about how many people that you started the conversation with, that human aspect of things.
hmm.
And it's still to a large extent, as much as we throw bots at this,
Yeah.
that particular aspect of it is still a human to human relationship.
Yeah. No,
So
100%.
what do you think of that whole leadership development? I have a bad view of it. I don't know why, but I do have a bad view of it.
Well, it's a category, right? Like, I mean, in absence of knowing what to call it, people have called leadership development. But in reality, what do leaders do? I mean, how do you know you're a leader? Well, you develop other leaders. I mean, that's really that's it.
Absolutely.
So, how do you want to know if you have developed as a leader? Well, how many leaders have you developed? That's the
But how do
question.
we know an orange tree is an orange tree? It develops oranges.
Right. So,
Period.
bottom line, that's really, you want to check out what your leadership development is. It's not how many courses people took. It's not how many people signed up. It's how many leaders have come out of the leadership that you're
That's
doing. So
right.
that's
Absolutely.
the true metric that we're talking about, because that's what it is. I don't have to tell you, hey, I'm a leader. You just see the people that
Demonstrate
are
it.
my trim, right?
The fruit of their
And
labor.
absolutely. And you'll see
Yeah.
that with people. It's like, I mean, I see that with like, even with my kids with a coach, they want to be under a certain coach. Like, oh, why are you going to coach? Because that coach is going to create this caliber of player, right? So, and then people, even, that internally, it's like, oh, you have somebody coming in. It's like, I really want you to meet so and so. I want you to be with that person. So when we're talking about I guess in a sense, leadership development, quote unquote, it really is, well, how is the reproduction of leaders happening in your place? Because really that's what it is. It's one of the main things, I would say, the spark, and it came from a one of my teachers, my Sunday school teachers, and he was always like, hey, you got to teach to teach. Whatever you learn is teach to teach. It shouldn't be the a one department or a one person that comes in and all this stuff, but it's really creating that culture of teaching to teach, a culture that, if we value leadership, that means that we are creating leaders, not one department, not one person. Is Leaders are creating leaders, and that's what the really true metric is. I would say the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.